Hi everybody, it's Kelly with Sewful Creations, and I am finally back and making a tutorial today for the Walletta Bifold by Casey Original. You're going to want to make a dozen of these, or maybe even more. This is a really fast project that doesn't use a lot of material. I mean, how perfect can that be, right? And it comes in 3 different sizes. This one that I'm going to show you in the tutorial today is the medium size. It has 5 card slots on each side, and then there's these slip pockets here where you can put your bills, you can put receipts, some extra credit cards, whatever you want to put in there. It is really just as easy as it looks. Not very much. You can make it in leather, you can make it in vinyl, cork, any non-frame material, because you will have raw edges. I have edge painted mine, but you don't have to edge paint. It's just going to depend on the materials you use and the look you're going for. Okay, I did not add a label to mine, but you can do that, of course, and just have fun with it. It's, you know, it's very little sewing too. There's only like the top stitching on the pockets here, and just top stitching the whole thing once you put it all together, and that's it. So grab your materials and join me in making the Walletta Bifold by Casey Original. Okay, so we're going to get started making our Walletta wallet by Casey Original. I'm making mine from leather, but like I said before, you can make it from leather, from vinyl, from cork, any non-frame material. Okay, so I'm using this embossed leather, and you see you only need small pieces, so you can buy little sheets of leather, little small pieces. You don't have to spend a lot to make these wallets. This is the medium size. It comes in the 3 sizes again, the small, medium, and the large. This is the medium size. So I have my exterior piece. I'm using this. This is just a piece of pigskin leather. I'm using this for my lining because it's pretty thin. So none of these I had to skive. They're going to work out just fine. So we're going to need a piece of RFID fabric. So this is the radio frequency, Jazzy has to remind me, radio frequency identification fabric. So this is that fabric that's in wallets to keep them from being able to scan your chip on your credit cards and your debit cards. So this is good to have. So a piece of that, and then these are my lining pieces. Not my lining pieces. These are my card slot pieces. So they're going to get folded in half, and we're going to have 5 cards on the right and 5 cards on the left. I know I probably said them backwards, but they're going to be like this. Okay, so I've already punched the holes for the card slots and cut the slits. It's easy to do. I have one of these tools. You use the pattern piece, put the pattern piece on top, and then you can just punch the holes. And then I just used a simple X-Acto knife and ruler to cut the slits. So they're nice and neat. Okay. And then I prepped everything. So do all your prep work up front. I have marked my center line on my card slots, and I also marked a 1/2 inch all the way around. I've added my double-sided tape where it's supposed to be. So read the pattern for that placement. And then I have marked some lines here. I know they're probably hard to see because I used a black pen, but they're 1/2 inch increments, and you going to put as many lines as you have card slots. So for the medium wallet, like I said, you're going to have 5 card slots on each side. So you're going to have 5 lines. Okay, so the measurements where you start to place the lines is in the pattern. And I did that for both pieces. Okay. You're going to mark your centers on the right side of your lining. So I'm just using, it's a very small mark on top and bottom. Make sure you use something that's removable. And on your exterior, you're going to mark your center and 1/2 inch all the way around. This is Tyvek. It's like the fabric that they use on kites. We're using this for our no-sew card slots. The no-sew method works for leather, but for if you're using vinyl or cork or something, it's best to top stitch your card slots. And the instructions for that are in the pattern as well. So the no-sew method has been proven with leather. And we're gonna do that. And it makes it so easy, so fast. And this is such a thin material, so you won't have any bulky card slots, which is good. I have a wallet that I've been using. I've been using my Joanna Mini wallet. I've been using it for ever since I made it. If you guys, I have a video for that as well, if you want to check that out. But it's also by Casey Original, and my card slots get a workout, let me tell you. And my Tyvek no-sew card slots holding up very well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with our exterior. Okay, there's really no right side up with this, but I think I like this side better. So this is going to be my top. And I'm just going to, so I don't forget, I'm just going to put a little T there, if I can see it. No, not too good. This is a gel pen I've been using. It works well on exterior, but not so well when it's like a rough back. Okay. So I use my pen here, and I'll put a T up here, just so I remember that's the way I want it to go. Excuse me. So one thing I want to say is just you may need some adhesive if you use whatever you're using, leather or vinyl, cork or whatever. I like to use this Wellwood contact cement, but you don't have to use it. And I'm going to choose not to use it for this video right now. I'm going to use just some regular double-sided tape. So I have my double-sided tape. We're going to add a strip on each side of the center line. Okay, she says use 3/8 inch tape. I don't have 3/8 inch. I have 1/4 inch. I have 1/8. I have 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't know how, if I could probably just use the 1/4 inch, but since she says 3/8, I'm going to just put a piece of 1/4 inch, and then right next to that, I'm going to do a 1/8 inch. And now I have 3/8. So, see, I knew that math would come in handy. So, you know, the kids say, why do I have to learn this? You know, that's why you have to learn it. Because, you know, you just never know. So, anyway, so here we go. So we have that. And now we're going to remove the backing to the tape here. Okay. And we're going to take our RFID lining here, and there's no right or wrong side. It looks the same both ways, right? And we're going to lay that. Now, you can also get this in with adhesive back. I don't know, because we're not gluing or taping the whole thing down. So I don't know if you want the one that has the adhesive backing to it, because we're just going to be doing this center part here. So, but you want to fit it within that 1/2 inch parameter that we drew out. Make sure it fits right in there. Line it up just like that and lay it down. And then we're just going to press that center where the tape is. So this is still free, right? Okay. So that we got that like that. And now this is where you would apply your glue just to one side, not to the whole thing. So where you have your center mark, we're going to start there and go around, and then on this side. So on the right side is where we're going to do. So I'm not using glue, I'm using the tape. So right here at the center line, I have my 1/2 inch tape here, and I'm going right up to the edge here. Okay. And by the way, I'm not using a label, but if you are going to, then I guess I didn't want to put that. I'm just going to lift this out because I don't want the tape on this fabric. So let me lift that up a little bit. But if you are going to, you should do that before you put this RFID down. You decide where you want to put your label, whether it's the front or the back. Go ahead and have your label. Because that's the only hardware that you're going to have on this wallet is a label, if you choose to have one. Okay, so I'm just getting that on. So once you have that, okay, so now we're going to remove the backing. We're going to see just how easy it is to put this all together here. Okay. All right, sorry, I had to pause for a second. Okay, so now that we have our tape here, now we're going to lay our lining down, and we're going to match the raw edges, and we're just doing that 1/2 of the lining. We're not doing the other side yet, okay? And if we get this all laid out here, just matching it up the best way here. Okay. Okay. And we can just roll that out. Get it nice and smooth there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you why we're not doing this end just yet. Okay, so you need to find something that's not too thick. So in the pattern, she says she uses a book. So I just got this little thing. This is one of my daughter's, her science workbook, right? But you see it's very thin. We want no more than about 3/8 of an inch thick. Okay, so whatever you have that you can use for this next step. So a thin book works really well. Okay, so we're gonna lay the book down, okay, right at the center. So we're not exactly up against the line, the center line. Bring it back just a little bit, leave a little gap there, and we're gonna hold that in place, because this is what is gonna allow the billfold to stay in that folded state, okay, so that it just doesn't lay flat open, right? So we're training it here. So we're going to fold the lining over onto the book here. Okay, so we're getting that just like that. Okay, and what I do is drop stuff. So don't do that part. I'm just gonna hold this down with a little piece of masking tape, or you can use some painter's tape or something. I just wanna hold this down for a second, okay? And this is where we would glue the other side or add our tape, okay? So I'm gonna do that. Get this other side taped up. And you could do it beforehand and just don't remove the backing if you choose to. Okay. So you're gonna get that going here. Okay. So once I have that, okay, move these out the way for a second. Okay, so now we're going to fold this over, and you'll see that I can remove this tape now. Okay, this tape, and you'll see how it's already kind of folding over. You'll see that once you fold the exterior over, it won't reach all the way to the side. You'll see you'll have some extra. That's exactly what you want. You want it just like that. So I'm going to remove the backing to the double-sided tape, and then I'm going to lay this side down. Okay, so let's keep this firmly up against the book here. Okay. I'm going to remove this, and we're going to fold this over, making sure you're matching up everything, the raw edges here. Okay. Sorry about this, and get it laid down. Okay. All right, so just like that, get it all pressed down. All right, and you see how we got the shape here? That's what we're looking for, okay? So now that extra, we're gonna trim that right on off. So you can use your rotary cutter or whatever works, but I'm just gonna run my scissors following the exterior and just, so there we have that. And now we just match it up here and just make sure, and I just put it back in there again and just, so there we have it. Now we have our exterior, and it's just all going to be ready for us to get our rest of our wallet together. I just have a little bit here where maybe I cut it a little off and just trim that down. But it's going to get trimmed down again. So, but I just want to make sure everything is as even as I can have it here before. Okay, so now, what are we ready to move on to now? We're going to move on to our card slots already. Okay, so now like I said, we're ready for our card slots. So you should have 2 pieces of your Tyvek. The measurements are in the pattern, of course. So we're going to start with one side. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'll just move it over here. So I'm starting with one side. And there is a difference to each side of this. So one is like a glossier side, and one is a little like more matte. So I like the matte side to be facing in my card slots. Okay, so I consider the glossy side the back. Okay, so I want that matte side to be facing down. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the backing to the double-sided tape on the card slot, the first one at the bottom. So this is the top, so this is going to be the bottom, and I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to place this down, and I'm going to be lining it up to kind of center it over the card slot. So where the holes are punched, this should be covering that, and it should be lining up with the bottom edge of my double-sided tape. Okay, so just centering it basically, okay, and just give it a good press. Now, if you're going to be using vinyl or cork or something to that effect, then when you bring this back down, you're going to be top stitching right underneath the slit of your card slot. But since I'm using leather, I will not have to do that. Okay, so now I have that. Now the lines that we drew here at the bottom, this first line down here, I'm going to place some double-sided tape right above that line. Okay. Okay. Remove the backing, and now I'm going to pull this back. Okay, and I'm going to give it a good tug and make sure it's creased nicely, and I'm going to lay this down straight as can be. Okay, and we're going to make sure it's pressed down, smooth it down. Okay, then we're going to remove the next backing here, and we're going to fold this up again. Now we're creasing the bottom and bringing it up to press onto the tape here, making sure everything stays lined up. Okay, now there's a second line here. I know it's hard to see, but I can see it. So make sure you draw your line far enough out that you can see it. And I'm going to add another piece of double-sided tape. So this time it's going right across the Tyvek here, okay? And I'm going to remove the backing, and we're going to fold it down. Again, lining everything up, giving it a good crease here, making sure it adheres down here. Okay. Okay. And then the next one. Now we're folding it up again. Okay. Now I'm going to add another piece at the next line. Okay. Remove that. These are the quickest card slots you'll ever do. Even if you have to top stitch, it's still fast. Okay. And then we have one more here. And then fold that up. Creasing. Once again, we have tape to add at the next line. Okay. And we're going to fold it back again. If you can't find Tyvek or you don't want to use it, you can also use some ribbon that's 2 3/4 inches wide. You can do that. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the next one, and we're almost done with this side. Okay. And we got another piece to add here. Okay. And we'll fold it back again. Okay. Okay. And then the last piece. And fold that up. Oops, got a little off here. Okay, there we go. And then we'll just trim off the extra. So here's our 1/2 inch line here. I just trim it just below that 1/2 inch line. It's usually about right where the tape is, just like that. Just trim that little extra. And now we have our card slots. You take a little card, you slide it in there and check them, make sure. Sorry, here. Okay, so each one works well. The cards in there nicely. Okay, so that's that step. That I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the other one off camera, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I got the other card slots done, and now we're going to add a little stabilizer in the center here, just so over time, you know, our card slots here are pocket, because we're going to have 2 pockets there as well. So we're going to add some stabilizer. The pattern says some nylon tape. I didn't have that, so I'm just using some Decovil Light. I've placed some double-sided tape on the back to adhere it so I don't have to press it. And I'm just going to put that right on the side of that center line, and it should fall right in between the lines we drew for our 1/2 inch markings. Okay, so I'm just going to add that to each one. Okay. And my phone never wants to ring until I'm doing something. Okay. So just like that. And now we're ready to go ahead and glue this together. So I'm going to take my 1/2 inch. Now make sure if you're using tape that you definitely use a 1/2 inch because we're going to be cutting this down. So we don't want to use a more narrow tape, and then now it's no longer stuck together. So I'm just going to place mine on 1/2 of this. If you're using some contact cement or some type of leather glue, you want to do it all the way around. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get this on. Okay. And this side here. And then we'll also put a piece right over the stabilizer. Okay. So again, if you're gluing, all the way around, but I don't need it on all sides. Okay, so now we can take the backing off the double-sided tape, and we're gonna match up these raw edges and get this folded in half. So let me see if I can do this without sticking everything in the wrong spot. This tape is pretty sticky. Okay. And it is sticky. Okay. that. Oops. Well, I didn't do that too well right there. Oh well, that's gonna get trimmed down. I could have did that a little smoother than I did, but we'll just, okay. There we go. All right, so now we're going to make a mark right at the folded side, okay, at the bottom or top or whatever, the bottom and top. I'm just going to make a little mark there and a mark there. And we're going to top stitch along this folded side, and you can just do a small little back stitch if you like, or you can leave the long tails if you want. So we're doing about 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. And stopping at the other mark. Give it a little back stitch here. Okay. And we'll okay. And it should look like that. Okay, and we're gonna do the other one, and we will be right back, and we're getting close to wrapping this up. Okay, so I went ahead and top stitched the other one, and now I have placed some 1/2 inch double-sided tape along the raw edge sides, and now we're going to go ahead and insert those into our exterior here. So I'm just going to remove the backing from the double-sided tape, and we're going to line these raw edges up with the raw edges on our exterior. Okay, so making sure that we have our card slots oriented the right way. So this is going to be the, which way is the top to me? Which way did I say I wanted the top to be?
Didn't you write it in there?
It's gone now.
Dang. You should have wrote it again.
I was like, one way looked more like the top to me than the other way, even though there's really no top or bottom to this. I think I wanted this side up. Okay, so now we're going to just, like I said, match up these raw edges. And get this, I think I might have cut this a little short here. Yeah. Okay, just like that. So we have that one side on, and then we'll do the other side.
Just realized you haven't used your sewing machine at all yet.
I mean, just to do this little top stitching. Not much sewing here. Not a lot of sewing. So it should go together pretty fast here. Let's do the top and the bottom. Make sure it's all lining up nice here. Okay. And get that on. Okay, just like that. Okay. All right, so we have it there. It's nice all together, right? So now this is where we're going to trim this down 1/4 inch all around. So you can mark out the 1/4 inch and then cut it with scissors, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to my cutting table and I'm going to just lay my ruler down 1/4 inch, and I'm going to use my rotary cutter to cut it. So all the way around, we're going to do that. Okay, so I'll be back after I do that. Okay, so I've trimmed it all down so we have nice even edges. Okay, looks good. Okay, and so now we're going to take this little corner template here and we're going to place it. And if you have a little, like a one of those nice little cutting tools for leather that round the corners, you can use that, but I don't have one. So I'm just going to use the template and I'm going to draw that, trace around that corner on each of the corners. Okay. I wouldn't trust doing this with my rotary blade because I would probably chop up those corners so bad. I'm hoping I don't do that with the scissors, but I like cutting with scissors. Okay. So we're almost. Okay. So once we have that marked out, you're going to take your scissors or your cutting tool, whatever you have, and we're just going to just trim off those corners as neatly as possible. So I'm just not lifting the scissors, just following that curve, just like that. Okay?
I would butcher that so bad.
Well, I'm almost doing that. Just trim it down. If you have any, you want it as smooth as possible. Okay. I don't think I did too bad. Yeah, okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm gonna do all 4 corners. Okay. Thank goodness it's not that much to trim. Just make sure. It's just a lot of layers, so. Okay. So 2 corners down. All right. All right, so basically we're getting those corners round. You don't even have to round the corners if you don't want to. You can leave them straight. So I'm going to go ahead, trim off the other 2 corners real quick, and then we'll come back to do the top stitching. Okay, so I have my corners rounded the best I can. And so now we're going to top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch from the inside. We're going to back stitch over these little parts where the card slots meet here with the exterior, just to give it a little security there. So 1/8 of an inch away. I'm going to just start here. I'm going to leave, well, you know what? Since I'm using this black thread on here, it's not really going to show. If you want to leave long threads, you can. I'm going to just do a little back stitch. Okay, so make sure you go. I'm just going to do a little back stitch. And back stitching over those folds where the card slots are. Okay. And go around those corners carefully. Okay. Come into the corner, so I'm going to back stitch over that, back stitch over this one, and and if you decided to leave long tails, you will pull them, feed them in. You could feed them in under the card slot and tie them off. Okay, so that. Okay. All right, so the wallet is essentially done. If you're not going to edge paint or anything, then you're done. That's it. Look at, we're already done. But I am going to edge paint. First, I'm going to apply some Tokonol burnishing cream on my edges here to smooth them out. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edge paint it. And then I will show you when that's all done. But for now, isn't that the cutest little bifold wallet? Really cute. I want to show you one I did earlier with a similar leather. So this is the purple one. And you see it's already edge coated. I put a little gloss on there. I thought that looked nice. And this is the large size. I'm also going to do one in the small as well. So look at that. So I'll come back and I'll show you what this one looks like once it's been edge painted. But that's pretty much it for the Walletta Bifold wallet. So I'm back to show you the finished Walletta Bifold. It's been edge painted. And you see, I'm not an expert on edge painting, but I think it looks pretty good. So I used the base coat dents by I always think I'm saying this wrong, but I think it's Giardini, or yeah. Anyway, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, but I'm using that. I use this as the base coat. So I put about 3 coats of this, so, and letting it dry completely in between. And also I sanded, so I have some sandpaper, fine sandpaper, and I sanded down a little in between. That's very important because if you try to sand it before it's completely dry, then you're just going to ruin the look of it. So I use this, and then I use 2 coats of this, the paint. And sometimes I like the little glossy look, so I also put this protecting gloss on after, just 1 coat of that. Okay, so anyway, back to the wallet. So it's done. I have all my card slots here. We have these pockets here where you can put paper money, receipts, whatever you want to put there. And it's just so cute, right? I want to show you. Again, this is the medium size. I made all 3 sizes. So here we have the large. I love this purple. Okay, isn't that pretty? And the red one is the small. So they sew up so quickly. I don't even want to say like sew up because there's very little sewing, but they work up really fast, and I enjoyed making them. Excuse me if I seem like I'm just a little trying to get my wording. I've been gone for so long, and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I'm not doing this full time yet because I have a lot of things going on with the kids, and I got my twins graduating, and I have 3 in college, and I still have my 2 younger girls, and they're doing some great things with dance. And so it's just been a lot. And and my grandbaby. So I'm just spending a lot of time with family, but I'm glad to be back doing this. I will have videos popping up here and there. And I appreciate everybody who's sticking with me and still enjoying the ones that I've done so far, and looking forward to some new content. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications, because that I will have some videos coming soon. So enjoy making your Walletta wallet by KC Original. I'll have all the links in the comments for you. And that's it. Have a good day.